Our saga ignites at the grand Ye mansion, where fate has taken a twisted turn. Our protagonist, Su-en, has transmigrated from the modern world, but as the memories flood in, the harsh truth strikes him. He inhabits the body of the Ye family's illegitimate son. A tragic existence indeed. Born without a mother, weak in body, and branded a coward, he is the laughingstock of the entire clan. In this ruthless world where martial prowess is law, his lack of talent makes him nothing but prey for the strong. Suddenly, a heavy hand lands on his shoulder. A sneering voice asks what the little bastard is plotting. The bullies mock him relentlessly, suggesting he should search for the mother who abandoned him like trash. Another chimes in, laughing that she is likely rotting in a grave. The audacity of these minor villains knows no bounds. But today, Su-en's eyes flash with cold steel. "Silence," he commands. The bullies recoil, shocked by this sudden spine. Usually he trembles like a leaf, but today, a dragon has awakened. Su-en mocks their deafness and repeats himself slowly. "I said, shut your mouths." The provocation works instantly. Their patience snaps and they hoist him by the collar. They promise him a lesson in pain while shaking him violently. Su-en's spirit roars to fight, but this frail vessel fails him. Just as the first blow is about to land, a clear voice cuts through the tension. "Halt!" A young maiden points an accusing finger. She reminds them that despite everything, he is still the blood of the family head. This brave soul is named Ye Qinfang. A whisper changes the bully's tune. The madam favors this girl's cooking, so crossing her is dangerous. Reluctantly, they toss our hero to the dirt, vowing vengeance for another day before stalking off. Qinfang rushes over, offering a gentle hand. Memories surface for Su-en. She alone showed him kindness in this cold hell. The moment their skin touches, destiny chimes. The female daily life skill system awakens. As a veteran of other worlds, he accepts this cheat code calmly. The mandate: recruit female disciples. As they hone their domestic crafts, his martial power will soar. Currently, he is limited to a single disciple. He marvels at this unique path to power. Meanwhile, Qinfang stares at him, wondering why this fool is gazing into space. Su-en realizes the perfect candidate stands right before him. Fate has delivered his first disciple on a silver platter. He pops the question, "Will you be my disciple?" She scoffs, telling him to quit babbling nonsense. Yet with a playful smirk, she humors him. "Fine, consider me your disciple," she teases before turning away. She thinks it a jest, but the pact is sealed. The system registers the recruit with the art of cooking. Instantly, a hidden talent unlocks within him, and the moment she begins her work, the magic happens. As she boils simple eggs, energy floods into Su-en. Back in the kitchen, the work is grueling. She rushes chopping carrots and preparing feasts while Su-en passively gains experience points. Peers mock her diligence, calling her a fool for doing triple the work for single pay. Little do they know, her labor fuels a monster. Behind the wall, Su-en grins as his levels skyrocket. Seeing the initial talent unlock, he silently prays. She cooks for the entire city. "Cook, my disciple, cook." The system then demands a choice of profession. Forging, medicine, architecture. In this combat-obsessed world, these are considered minor arts, yet he chooses the way of the fisherman. He sits by the tranquil waters, rod in hand. But even with system assistance, patience is the true test. Finally, the surface ripples. The line goes taut. A beast has taken the bait. With a mighty heave, a massive fish leaps out and smacks him right in the face. Annoyed, he wipes the slime away, but his irritation vanishes at a piercing scream for help. It is a cry of distress mixed with tears. Su-en turns his gaze darkening. Nearby, a body slams against a wall. It is Qinfang. And her tormentor, the same filth from earlier, who dared to provoke Su-en. The thug sneers, claiming this is the price for her earlier interference. He raises a massive hand to strike the helpless girl, but before the blow can land, boom! A flying kick connects with thunderous force, launching the villain through the window. Su-en has arrived in style. Thanks to the culinary arts, he is no longer the weakling of yesterday. The goons roar, cursing him for ambushing their boss. Su-en ignores them, marveling at the raw power surging through his veins. One lackey lunges with a vicious elbow, thinking Su-en is exposed. But he has made a grave calculation error. These thugs stand no chance against a cultivator, fueled by boiled eggs. Su-en effortlessly evades the first strike. Another attacks from the side, warning not to hold back against the young master, but it is too late. Another assailant dives from the left, aiming a lethal elbow strike, but as they soar through midair, our hero simply shifts his weight. With the grace of a phantom, he steps back, causing the two clumsy fools to collide in a spectacular aerial crash. One thug's foot smashes into his ally's face, and Su-shen follows up with a ruthless kick straight to the family jewels. The devastating blow leaves the man twitching on the floor. Terrified, the thugs scatter, screaming hollow threats about future revenge. From behind, a trembling voice calls out. It is Qinang, her face flushed crimson, unable to reconcile this warrior with the master she knew. How could he possess such explosive strength? The realization strikes her like lightning as she recalls the moment she pledged herself to him. There is no doubt now. His latent talents must have awakened just days ago. To achieve such power so quickly implies a terrifying potential. Overcome with awe, the girl drops to her knees, bowing her head in apology for ever doubting his hidden capabilities. But Su Shen gently extends a hand, pulling her to her feet. He needs no apology from the one person who stood by him when the world turned its back. As they walk, he learns the cruel reality of this world. Those born with broken meridians are usually destined to rot in mediocrity. She marvels at his defiance of fate. A man mocked as trash for 20 years has finally shattered his shackles to rise above them all. He offers a mysterious smile, keeping his secrets close, but their return to the Yi mansion is greeted not with welcome, but with malice. A cruel hand twists Qinang's ear. It is Butler Zhang, sneering down at her pleas for mercy with the arrogance of a petty tyrant. The old snake claims she deserves the pain for her arrogance simply because she holds a position in the kitchens. Suddenly, an iron grip clamps around the butler's wrist. Su Shen's eyes turn cold as he demands to know who dared to touch his disciple. A sharp voice cuts through the tension. Lady Lei steps forward, mocking Su Shen for his sudden display of backbone. She accuses him of causing chaos both inside and outside the estate. Su Shen retorts calmly, pinning the blame squarely on the servant's violence. The woman commands his silence, while the surrounding sycophants clamor for the useless young master to be exiled from the clan immediately. Yi Ba steps into the fray, sneering that a parasite like Su Shen has been draining the family's resources for far too long. He demands expulsion, but Lady Lei, playing the benevolent matriarch, declares they will merely strip everyone of wages for 3 months. The master is away, so her word is law. The butler grinds his teeth, furious that the bastard got off with such a light sentence. Later in the shadows, Ye Yu plots with his mother. That brat must be eliminated before his strength grows any further. The rumors of his cultivation worry them, though the mother dismisses it. Awakening talent in this backwater city is unheard of. She insists he merely learned some cheap parlor tricks. They must finish the job they started when they tried to drown him. It is infuriating that he crawled back from the abyss of death, but they will ensure his next trip to the afterlife is permanent. The following dawn, a crowd gathers in the courtyard, confusion rippling through the servants as they stare at the spectacle. It is announced that Qinang will handle the entire banquet. The girl stands ready, her aura blazing like a master chef entering a duel. With a knife in hand, she unleashes a storm of precise cuts. The onlookers gasp, terrified by the killing intent radiating from her cooking. Meanwhile, the system chimes. Thanks to her efforts, Su Shen gains experience, advancing his sect rank to the apprentice level. A new slot for a disciple opens, but more importantly, he unlocks a passive ability. Iron Stomach. He can now absorb power by eating. Checking his status window, he is stunned. His cultivation is skyrocketing, and now he can gain skills simply by devouring objects. With this cheat-like ability, he heads straight to the city's bookstore to test the limits of his new power. A staff member approaches, dripping with false politeness, asking how he can serve the renowned waste of the Shu family. Su Shen demands their strongest manual. The clerk scoffs internally, knowing this trash has zero talent, yet he gestures to a girl in the back. He orders her to fetch a basic primer. This beauty is Luo Yu, and fate surely has plans for her to join our protagonist's journey. She brings the beginner book, but Su Shen rejects it instantly. He demands the ultimate technique, the peak of their collection. The girl sighs, warning him that even a genius would need 5 years to grasp the basics. It is a waste of time for someone like him. Silence falls as Su Shen slams 3 gold coins onto the counter. Money talks, and the clerk's demeanor flips instantly. Suddenly, Su Shen is a valued customer. The clerk scolds the girl, demanding she fetch the store's supreme treasure immediately. Muttering about his incompetence and arrogance, Luo Yu retrieves the ancient tome. She has never seen someone so useless act so bold. She hands it over with a sneer, betting that if he masters this impossible technique in a single lifetime, she will pay a heavy price. She vows to plant bananas on her head and wash her hair in the filthy streets if he succeeds. A bold wager indeed. Su Shen grins, warning her that the shopkeeper is a witness to her vow. She says she will wait an eternity for that day. But our hero has no intention of waiting. He claims he will master it right now. With over 1,000 coins at stake, he is all in. Activating his iron stomach, he shoves the book into his mouth. The staff watches in horror as he literally swallows the knowledge whole. Just as he flashes a thumbs up, the elixir takes effect. Blue aura explodes from his core. His body overflows with energy, sending books flying off the shelves. In a blink, he vanishes, already tearing across the book. 2 halls. Leaping from rooftop to rooftop, his speed defies logic. He can barely comprehend this newfound velocity. Before the dust settles, he is back in front of the girl. The store clerk is trembling, screaming that this should be impossible. Even the supreme ancestors took years to master this movement technique. Faced with this power, the girl hangs her head in defeat. Cut to the streets. A bucket is slammed down, and she begins washing her hair in public. Humiliating, but at least she honors her martial vows. Rumors spread like wildfire through the city. Everyone is whispering about the bet and the boy who mastered a royal tier art in seconds. Impossible, they say, until our protagonist approaches the soaking girl and commands, "That is enough." He suddenly asks if she has any hidden talents. She is bewildered by the sudden shift in tone. She stammers that she is no martial artist, but she has a passion for calligraphy and painting. Our hero smiles, seeing the potential. "Those are divine talents," he declares. "Become my disciple." She agrees, assuming he will teach her to fight, but he shakes his head. "No fighting yet. Focus only on your ink and brush." Poor Yonu is left confused. She thinks this boy is eccentric. But little does she know he just secured a legendary support unit for his system. A true tactician. He grabs more manuals, but the system slaps him with a cooldown timer. Even he has to admit cheating the heavens requires patience. Just as he prepares to devour another book like a snack, the air runs cold. Killing intent locks onto him. A massive demonic tiger materializes from the shadows. An explosion rocks the nearby mountain, shaking the earth. The masterminds were watching from the peaks. The purple-mustached elder is annoyed they wasted a summoning demon, but his partner scoffs. It matters not as long as the trash is dead. That is until a voice chills their spines. Who exactly is dead? They spin around, terrified. How is this bastard still breathing without a single scratch on him? Doubt begins to creep into their minds. Are you certain this kid has zero talent? The one in red is Yuba, the arrogant young master from the mansion. Our hero glares at them. "I know you tried to drown me recently. This beast was your doing as well, wasn't it?" Yuba begins to tremble. He stammers, demanding to know why the demon stopped attacking. He looks down and gasps. The demon's body is there, but its head has been severed cleanly. Enraged, the purple-mustached Shen charges in. "I will handle this trash personally." His fist screams through the air, but our protagonist dodges with the grace of a grandmaster. "Excellent," the boy smirks. "You will make for fine experience points." The elder is convinced a newly awakened brat cannot win. But our hero blocks the strike, elbows him, and delivers a devastating counter. A thunderous punch connects right with the elder's face. The impact sends the grown man flying through the forest like a rag doll. He cannot comprehend how the clan's garbage has ascended to godhood so quickly. The fool tries to crawl away, broken and bleeding. Our boy simply dusts off his hands. It seems those books I ate provided excellent nutrition. Shen realizes the terrifying truth. If he stays, he dies. He gathers his remaining chi and leaps away, desperate to escape. The forest. He glances back and sees the boy is far behind. A moment of relief washes over him. He survived the monster. But in the blink of an eye, the boy is already waiting for him. "Where do you think you are going?" He grabs Shen's face and slams him into the earth. Crushed into the dirt, the elder realizes there is no escape. Death has come for him. He begins begging the young hero for mercy. "I am an official of the sect. If you kill me, the consequences will be severe." He tries to use politics as a shield. Our hero pauses, acting conflicted. True, that would be troublesome. He vanishes into the trees and the guide exhales, thinking he was spared. But the nightmare returns instantly. The boy is back, holding the severed claws of the demon tiger. "Your official title means nothing. You conspired with that dog Yuba to murder a fellow disciple. For your crimes, you deserve death." The man tries to scream, but judgment has arrived. It is too late. Back at the mansion, Yuba is hyperventilating. He fled the scene like a coward. He recalls the look in our hero's eyes. That cold predator's gaze. The system confirms the boy is already level 4. Yuba shakes while his mother berates him. "You disgrace. You stole his talent, and you still let him intimidate you." Yuba tries to reassure her. "Do not worry. Mother Shen will report him to the government. He will be executed for attacking an elder." But the matriarch is not so foolish. News in the cultivation world travels faster than wind. "Do not be an idiot," she hisses. "The report says the body was found with claw marks. Everyone believes he was mauled by a wayward demon. The boy covered his tracks perfectly. Now they know for certain. The sleeping dragon has awakened." Meanwhile, our hero is sitting on the steps, engaging in a bizarre ritual. He is fishing in a small water bowl. He is ruthlessly exploiting the system. Even a mundane task like this grants him experience points. He pulls up a tiny fish. Ding. Another 4 points added to his cultivation. Rumors begin to circulate that the young master has gone insane, buying fish just to catch them from a bowl. Yuba hears the report and is baffled. He never expected the enemy to be this unpredictable. With the protagonist out of sight, Yuba's jealousy burned hotter than the fires of hell. He couldn't comprehend it. How could he who trained until his bones cracked remain stagnant? While a guy fishing from a bowl grew stronger by the second, suddenly, ding, our boy's fishing mastery broke through to the apprentice level. Now the system demanded he seek waters with higher spiritual energy. Just then, a mysterious missive arrived. For a heartbeat, he hoped for a love letter, but reality was far crueler. It was a summons for the Demon Suppression Division selection, the very faction where the man he slaughtered, Old Chen, held power. This wasn't an invitation, it was a death warrant. The entire association would be sharpening their blades for him now. Later, Qinfang voiced her worry. The selection was imminent, yet her master lounged around like he hadn't a care in the world. He scoffed at her concern. To a dragon like him, this so-called grand opportunity was nothing more than a child's game. She sighed, confused by his odd hand gestures. Little did she know he was manipulating the invisible system interface in the air. He wasn't lazy. He was calculating. He didn't know what monsters awaited him, so he had to prepare his arsenal. Meanwhile, Qinfang had hit a bottleneck in her cooking arts. She needed to learn exotic cuisine to infuse spiritual power into her food. The protagonist scratched his head. He was a warrior, not a chef. How was he supposed to teach the Tao of cooking? But the system, as always, provided a cheat. A skill transfer point appeared. With zero hesitation, he made his move. He placed a finger gently on her forehead. A simple touch to transfer divine knowledge, but Qinfang froze. Her face flushed crimson at the intimacy, but before she could panic, her eyes widened as the cosmos of flavor exploded in her mind. Countless spiritual recipes flooded her consciousness. She bolted away, possessed by the spirit of the kitchen, desperate to cook. Simultaneously, Yanu mastered her calligraphy arts. Our boy realized his beautiful disciples were becoming terrifyingly competent. Reward time. He unlocked a spatial void, a dimensional storage pocket where his loyal followers could stockpile resources. Being the chatterbox he is, he lectured them on the mechanics of dimensional magic before sending them back to the grind. They bowed in gratitude, their loyalty unwavering. Yanu, however, noticed the master left without carrying a single thing. Qinfang tried to explain the concept of subspace storage, but the logic of such high-tier magic was beyond their comprehension. The scene cut to the imposing gates of the Demon Suppression Division. The guard sneered, demanding his credentials. Upon reading the name, the guard's eyes narrowed. Wait, are you times infamous Xuan? The moment he confirmed it, killing intent flooded the plaza. Every warrior present turned, knowing exactly who he was. He was the butcher who slaughtered the Ye family's illegitimate son. He was a walking dead man not meant to leave this place alive. Our hero realized this was Yuba's scheme in full effect. He had walked straight into a den of tigers hungry for his blood. Suddenly, the crowd parted. Master Lion has arrived. A figure draped in royal purple strode in like he owned the world. The protagonist raised an eyebrow. Standing nearby, a man named Wenon acted as the convenient commentator. Lion's cultivation time is short, but his power is monstrous. Our boy smirked, noting that every story needs an exposition NPC. Master Lion opened his mouth to brag about his lineage. Wham! Another contender kicked him aside like trash. Who dares? Our boy asked. The narrator explained, that was last year's grand prodigy hungry for a demon core to break through. But the chaos wasn't over. A shadow fell over them as a giant nearly 3 meters tall stomped onto the scene. Move, the Titan grunted. Our protagonist, valuing his life, instantly sidestepped. No need to fight a mountain just yet. Another monster, our boy mused. Who is this giant trying to humiliate everyone? Shannon whispered in awe. That is the war machine of the Northern family, the most promising disciple in a decade. Last year, he dominated the demon cave. But even this Titan froze when a chilling announcement cut through the air. Miss Xiao approaches. The temperature dropped. A suffocating dark aura rolled in, making people question if a demon had breached the gates. It wasn't human presence. It was bestial pressure. Even Suen felt the weight, while Wenon looked ready to cry and go home. She appeared riding atop a third-realm white tiger. This was Zhao Yui, the terrifying heiress of the beast-taming clan. The crowd scattered in terror. The massive tiger merely sniffed at the northern giant, and the man began to tremble violently. Thud. The poor giant collapsed, his spirit crushed by the beast's presence alone. Our boy's eyes narrowed. That tiger was 10 times stronger than the one he fought. He turned to his guide. Who is she? How does she command such a monster? Fulfilling his destiny as the narrator, the guy explained, the Zell bloodline. They possess the ancient art of beast domination. Their family was fading into obscurity until She Times was born, the genius of the century destined to restore their glory. Our boy stood dumbfounded. The competition had just escalated from a selection exam to a battle of monsters. Our protagonist stands paralyzed, awestruck by the sheer magnitude of the arena and the endless stream of challengers arriving. He comments on the overwhelming scale of this place, while the guide reveals that these statues are not mere stone. They are divine seals, humming with ancient power to keep the nightmare demons locked within the abyss. The guide explains the brutal law of this trial. You must measure your cultivation base and enter the cave that seals your fate. Warriors of the first realm face the first cave. Those of the second realm face the second. Simple yet deadly. Our hero asks if the Jade Beauty Miss Xiao will enter the second cave, but no, her ambition drives her straight toward the third realm. Meanwhile, Suan is effortlessly gathering experience points thanks to his spirit pets, cooking and writing books in the background. The guards whisper among themselves. Sending a disciple into that hell seems like a death sentence. But another guard corrects him. She has inherited a legendary bloodline capable of crushing high-level demons with a mere thought. She is a prodigy among prodigies. While our boy admires her strength, a voice warns him to know his place. He and his friend are destined for the basic cave. Until suddenly, a shadowy figure commands that Suan must also descend into the third realm. Wen-en trembles with rage. That is a suicide mission. It is practically murder disguised as a trial. He calls it insanity, but the guard's hand is already on his hilt. Defying orders here means facing the executioner's blade. Before blood can spill, our hero steps forward. With a calm smile, he accepts this treacherous path to protect his friend. The crowd watches him walk to his doom, mocking his foolish bravery. They believe he is walking into a slaughterhouse. Even the genius Xiao Yu glances back with pity. In her eyes, he is already a corpse, and she suggests preparing his death certificate. Deep within the darkness, a monstrous rat warrior waits, sharpening its blade and thirsting for blood. It smells a weak human from the first realm and orders a minion to finish the job. But they have severely underestimated their prey. Little do they know, Suan is wrapped in the invisibility of a supreme stealth scroll, courtesy of his talented pets. He opens his system interface, which is overflowing with spiritual delicacies prepared by Ye Qinfang. It is time to feast. After 4 days of gluttony, his attack, defense, and spirit have all skyrocketed by 50%. He has reached the absolute limit of food buffs. Suddenly, the system chimes with a warning. To evolve his companions further, he needs high-quality materials from the belly of the beast. The vacation is over. Our hero realizes he must finally dirty his hands. The time for action has come, but powerful demonic auras lurk nearby. He decides to remain cloaked in shadow, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He fishes for opportunities in the dark. Suddenly, a demonic rat lunges, sensing a disturbance in the air. But a flash of steel intercepts the blow. It is Xiao Yu stepping into the fray to block the attack. The monster is confused, asking why she defends a human. But the moment he meets her gaze, the glowing eyes of her bloodline ensnare his soul. Hypnosis takes hold instantly. Before the beast can react, a blade pierces his heart from behind. As the corpse collapses, a legion of vermin emerges from the darkness. But the Ice Queen merely looks excited. It is time for a massacre. Under her illusion, the rats turn their fangs upon each other in a frenzy of confusion. Amidst a sea of corpses, she scoffs. These second-realm pests are beneath her dignity. Too easy. Suddenly, a chilling voice answers from the shadows. The Mole Brothers' bosses of the second level have arrived to test her arrogance. In the blink of an eye, one is already upon her. Their speed defies logic, moving faster than sight itself. She attempts to trigger her ocular powers, but the beasts move like smoke, mocking her futile efforts to trap them. Claws tear through the air, a flurry of strikes lands, and it seems the prodigy has finally met her match. A gruesome sight. Her severed head appears to rest in the monster's palm. He howls in victory, boasting of his kill. But a chilling laughter echoes through the cavern. Did he really think it would be that easy to kill a master of illusion? The beast realizes with horror that he has slaughtered his own brother. Being blind did not save him from the nightmares of the mind. Consumed by grief and fury, the remaining brother unleashes a suicidal barrage of attacks, swearing to shred her to pieces. He claims to be faster than her bloodline, but she simply smiles. His struggle is meaningless. In a flash, his body is shredded into ribbons of flesh. The battle is over, and she proceeds deeper into the abyss. But the true terror awaits by the underground river. The Wolf Lord, a third-realm catastrophe made flesh. The beast sneers. He recognizes her genius, but reveals a shocking truth. She is not the prey he was sent to hunt. Confusion clouds her mind. The Demon Association. Conspiring with monsters to assassinate a specific human. The Wolf Lord summons a spear of dark energy. It matters not who dies today. His thirst for blood must be slaked. Witnessing the terrifying power of the so-called genius of the century, Yumi decides to stop holding back. She removes her blindfold, unleashing her full visual prowess. She arrogantly declares that slaughtering high-level demons is her specialty. The beast merely scoffs at her bravado. We shall see if your strength matches your words. Suddenly he vanishes. He moves with godlike speed, skewering her defense and nearly severing her head from her shoulders. She retreats desperately, terror gripping her heart. If not for the automatic activation of her death substitution art, she would be a corpse right now. Panic sets in as she realizes a horrifying truth. Why is her spiritual energy being suppressed? She casts aside the bandana and summons her trump card. Come forth, Demon Tiger. The moment the divine beast manifests, it launches a ferocious assault on the Wolf Lord. The monster acknowledges her talent. A normal cultivator at her level would already be dust. But as he closes the distance, his killing intent spikes. None of this matters, he growls. In the end, your destiny is death. Desperate, she activates her bloodline ability, commanding the enemy to halt. But to her horror, the Wolf Lord ignores the command and continues his advance. She cannot understand why her techniques are useless. His spear swings with devastating force, and the tiger barely intercepts the blow to save her. A catastrophic explosion erupts. Right before her eyes, the Wolf Lord laughs, impressed that her summon retains such power, even while sealed in a humanoid form. Still, it is not enough. They exchange blows at supersonic speeds, and the cavern begins to crumble from the intensity of their clash. Suddenly, the boss creates distance. I tire of these warm-ups, he sneers. It is time to witness true despair. He unleashes the serpent spear arts. The weapon comes alive, slithering through the air like a viper seeking its prey. Yumi's summon tries to hold its ground, launching a counteroffensive minus. But, just as its paw is about to strike, it freezes. The spear didn't pierce the beast. It coiled around it like a python constricting a victim. And, with a dark incantation, the Wolf Lord seals its fate. Die. An overwhelming debuff hits the creature, followed by a blood-red explosion. I am certain that nothing could survive that blast. Yumi turns, instantly fleeing for her life. It is a stain on the honor of the century's genius to run like a coward, but she has no choice. Even the strongest divine beast she could summon was nothing but an insect to this monster. But suddenly, a shadow blocks her path. The Wolf Lord looms over her. Where do you think you are going, little human? He warns. That escaping his domain is impossible. He raises his weapon, signaling her end. Prepare to meet your maker. The spear thrusts toward her face. But then, a flash of light. A mysterious fish drops from the heavens, landing right between them. The Wolf Lord pauses, confused. He comments that this species belongs in the western waters. Why is a fish here? He senses another presence and looks to the shadows. Apparently, a true expert has arrived. It is our boy, looking completely unbothered as usual. Don't worry, he says casually. I'm just a simple fisherman passing through. Outside the cave, the smoke begins to swirl ominously. The crowd holds its breath, sensing a powerful aura emerging from the purple mist. A single footstep echoes. It is Zayu walking out without a scratch on him. The crowd gasps in disbelief. The genius of the century actually survived the impossible trial. Meanwhile, the guards smirk, convinced their trap for Swan had worked perfectly. That damned Swan must be dead by now, but then Yumi bows deeply toward the cave entrance. Welcome, great master Swan. The men are dumbfounded. Since when does this arrogant prodigy kneel to anyone? Suddenly, a guard points, trembling with fear. Captain, look. An overwhelming aura spills from the cave mouth. The seal is broken, a demon is escaping. A massive wolf head emerges from the shadows, and blood drains from everyone's faces. It is the third realm leader of the dungeon, the Wolf Lord. The commander screams for reinforcements instantly. But that is when our boy realizes his mistake. Oops, I forgot to unequip the helmet. He stands there staring at the terrified army, with a totally clueless expression. Meanwhile, Yumi remains bowed, asking when her training will commence. The onlookers cannot comprehend why she calls that weakling her master. The guard's mind is racing. How did this happen? But the problem is that Suan walked out alive. What's worse, he has no idea what kind of forbidden martial arts Suan used to make Yumi protect him. She was so thoroughly dominated inside that cave that she now worships him as a master. Let us rewind 1 hour. Back to the heart of the cavern. Yumi watches in shock. Is this guy truly just a first-realm cultivator? Our boy weaves through a spear thrust and nearly decapitates the Wolf Lord. They trade blows at lightning speed. Even the Wolf Lord is forced to acknowledge the boy's prowess. He was told the kid was a novice, but his skill defies logic. He charges his spear with dark energy. I must use my ultimate technique. Here it comes. The oscillating spear lunges at our boy. Yumi knows instantly, even her divine tiger would vanish against this strike. But when the dust clears, the Wolf Lord freezes. Every single attack was deflected by a giant turtle shell, and from above, Suan descends, like a judgment from the heavens. Sword in hand, he strikes. The beast barely blocks in time, his mind reeling. How is a mere beginner fighting him on equal ground? But our boy scoffs. Equal ground. You are mistaken. I didn't spend 7 days fishing just to be your equal. A radiant blue aura erupts from his blade, illuminating the darkness. The Wolf Lord feels true terror. The sheer pressure from the sword is crushing him into the earth. The monster cannot comprehend this reality. How is he losing to a human with weaker cultivation? He doesn't realize our protagonist isn't just getting stronger, he is stacked with system buffs. Suddenly, the spear snakes around to stab him from behind, but with godlike reflexes, Suan shifts his stance and blocks the death blow. Then Suan unleashes a devastating blow, smashing the Wolf Lord's face. The beast is launched backward, cratering into the stone wall with bone-shattering force. For a split second, the dust settles to reveal a human form, but he instantly morphs back into a wolf, roaring that he will never fall to a martial arts novice. But Suan moves faster than a shadow. He appears behind the beast, whispering that he is merely a humble fisherman reeling in his catch. With a single fluid motion, the Wolf Lord's head is severed, tumbling across the cold ground. But Yui notices something strange. It wasn't flesh, but a mask. Our hero levels his spear at the figure his suspicion confirmed. The monster was a human in disguise all along. He demands the truth and the imposter breaks, confessing he stole a forbidden exorcism technique and fled into the cave to escape capture. He has been hiding in the shadows, masquerading as a monster to survive. But our greedy protagonist only cares about one thing. Suan immediately demands the secret technique, but the thief scoffs, warning that it took him 5 years just to understand the rudiments before vanishing into smoke. However, the thief underestimated our hero. His body dissolves, but he leaves behind his treasures. Suan not only claims the spear, but also obtains a secret manual, the Myriad Beast Transformation. The system chimes, he has leveled up. He unlocks the Disciple Summon skill, allowing him to call an ally from vast distances, albeit with a 1-hour cooldown. Yui warns him that the manual is useless garbage for his current level. It requires the cultivation of a 4th realm expert to even comprehend. She insists he would be wasting his life trying to learn it now. But before her words can even land, Suan defies all logic. He swallows the manual whole. As the knowledge absorbs, his gaze drifts over her, lingering on, certain assets making her face burn with embarrassment. She realizes he is staring inappropriately, but suddenly spiritual energy surges. Suan activates the technique, morphing into a perfect copy of her. She jumps back in pure shock. He mastered a 5-year technique in mere seconds. Suan inspects his new form with a critical eye. He notes that while he is slightly taller, a very crucial area seems, unfortunately, smaller than the original. Snap, she slaps him across the face, screaming at him to keep his hands off. She adds that his ugly expression ruins her beautiful face. I have to agree, the resemblance is terrifying. Suan reverts to his true form, his expression turning serious, as he asks if she can control demons. She scoffs arrogantly. Of course she can. She carries the noble bloodline of the Xiao family. Seizing the moment, Suan asks if she wants to be his disciple. She instantly refuses. Although he saved her life, her family stands at the peak of the south. She cannot lower herself to a no-name cultivator. She turns to leave, commanding them to move on, but Suan drops a bombshell question. Are you interested in summoning a divine phoenix? The atmosphere shifts. We flash back to the weight on her shoulders. The explainer reveals the Xiao family's crushing expectations. They demanded she summon a phoenix by age 20. But to achieve that, she would need to break through 7 or 8 realms in just 2 years. It was an impossible task, a destiny designed to crush her. Back in the cave, the reality of her failure weighs heavy. She snaps at him, saying that just because he learned a transformation trick, he shouldn't speak of the legendary phoenix so lightly. That summoning requires a flawless bloodline reaching the 10th realm and defeating a phoenix in the immortal world. It is a pipe dream. Suan looks her in the eye and makes a heaven-defying promise: become his disciple, and he will transform a mere chicken into a divine phoenix. She stares at him, stunned that he can say such insanity with a straight face. But he insists in 2 years she will fail alone. But with him, she has a fighting chance. Yui falls silent, her mind racing. This strange boy reached the 3rd realm in 7 days. He mastered a forbidden art by eating a book. If anyone can defy the heavens, maybe, just maybe, it is him. Outside the cave, the pact is sealed. She waves goodbye, her eyes filled with new hope, ready to begin her training as his beast-taming disciple. Meanwhile, at the Ye family mansion, panic has set in. A servant trembles, reporting that Suan survived and has allied with the powerful Yui. The Ye mother tries to calm her son, scoffing that even at the 3rd realm, Suan is nothing more than an ant who could kill a mere guard. But her son Yuba is consumed by fear. He insists they cannot sit idle while their enemy grows stronger. A dark glint enters the mother's eyes. She reveals a sinister plan: they have obtained a lethal poison from a master alchemist. Yuba's fear turns to sadistic joy. A silent assassination. Slip the poison into his food and watch him rot from the inside. He adds a cruel twist. They must slaughter Suan's cook right before his eyes, ensuring his final moments are filled with despair. This guy is pure evil, but karma arrives swiftly. A tiny mosquito silent as the grave lands softly on the mother's neck. You would expect a drop of blood, but this is no ordinary insect. It drains 8 liters instantly. Her body shrivels into a husk and collapses. The monster finishes her off and turns its gaze to the sun. The mansion echoes with Yuba's desperate, agonizing screams. The next morning, a crowd gathers around a notice board, whispering in fear. The entire town is hunting for the demonic mosquito that massacred the Ye family. Word has spread like wildfire at the city gates. Everyone is shocked that Suan survived the wilderness while his enemies perished so vaguely. Nearby, Yanu listens intently to the gossip. The news that Lady Xiaoyue has become Suan's disciple shakes the very foundation of the city. She immediately writes a message to Suan, warning him that his fame and infamy has spread across the entire region. Fate is moving quickly. Her innate talent allows her to deconstruct the very essence of any magical scroll. She perches high upon a tree branch, observing the world below. The master dismisses the formalities and inquires about the spiritual bamboo resources. She confirms that the supply is more than sufficient for their needs. However, it seems Qinfang's cultivation has hit a bottleneck. Suddenly, the system issues a new side quest, bestow a rare technique upon Yunwu. She must decipher a body art scroll while Qinfang requires fire attribute skills to refine her culinary Dao. The protagonist realizes a hard truth. His disciples are still too green to survive the harsh world alone. He must guide them personally. Simultaneously, a main mission notification flashes. Objective: investigate Tai Village, where villagers are being frozen in eternal ice without warning. Wasting no time, our hero leaps into action. He dismounts his rooster mount and charges toward destiny. At the village gates, a guard blocks his path, demanding he state his business. Flashing the badge of the elite Demon Suppression Division, he declares his intent to solve the mystery. The guard's attitude shifts instantly. Apologizing profusely, the man escorts him inside. He explains that 7 days ago, a chilling curse descended, freezing people in mid-step, as if possessed. The culprit's aura is undetectable, implying a cultivation base far superior to the guard's. Suian reaches out, intending to use his healing arts. He prepares to purify the victim, but the guard screams for him to stop. Contact is forbidden. If you touch them, you share their frozen fate. Even indirect contact transfers the curse. A single touch of a stone or branch connected to a victim is enough to seal one in ice forever. Countless cultivators have tried and failed. Despair hangs heavy in the air. At this rate, the entire village faces total annihilation. The guard steps aside, leaving the investigation in Suian's capable hands. Immediately, he activates the disciple summoning skill. Space warps and Yunwu is dragged from her tasks, appearing instantly beside him. Flustered and furious, she scolds her master with fiery passion. He needs to give a warning next time. What if she had been bathing? Suian, looking visibly awkward, clears his throat and apologizes. He quickly briefs her on the supernatural crisis and demands an analysis. Focusing her ki, she activates her divine deciphering abilities. Being his disciple has truly transformed her. Her growth is monstrous, and her arsenal of talents is overflowing. She unleashes her skill. As she reads the flow of magic, the truth appears in her grimoire. It is the advanced immobilization art, a terrifying technique. However, it drains constant mana to maintain. The further the caster, the weaker the hold. The logic is undeniable. The mastermind must be lurking at the mountain's peak. Suian prepares to ascend, but Yunwu grabs his arm with a dire warning. The enemy's cultivation level is likely suppressed but deadly. She pleads for him to retreat and cultivate to grind levels like he usually does. But Suian's gaze is steel. He has the luxury of time, but the innocent villagers do not. He charges toward the summit. At the peak, his scout bird spots a figure sweeping the temple grounds. It is a horned monk, a third-round grandmaster. The monk senses the spy. With a mere flick of his finger, the bird is encased in ice instantly. It plummets from the sky like a stone. It hits the dirt, discarded like trash. Suddenly, Suian steps from the shadows. The monk chants Amitabha, feigning innocence. He asks why an honorable guest disturbs his temple. But Suian cuts the act, accusing him directly of casting the vile immobilization art. He demands the spell be broken. The bald monk claims Suian has the wrong man, but our protagonist doesn't hesitate. He launches a surprise attack. He saw the magic with his own eyes. However, the monk's skin turns metallic as he activates the steel body technique. Suian's strike bounces off. The monk counters with a vicious kick to the spine, following up with a thunderous punch. Suian barely blocks. He is forced onto the defensive tanking blow after heavy blow. He catches a knee strike aimed at his chest. The pressure is immense. The battle intensifies. The monk smirks, complimenting the brat's durability. Suyan sees a gap in the defense and throws a lethal punch. It aims straight for the skull. But in a split second, the monk triggers the immobilization art. Suyan is paralyzed in midair, totally helpless. The monk winds up and blasts him into the temple structure. Boom. The impact shatters the solid stone walls. Suyan is buried under tons of rubble. A system message pings. Yunwu screams through the link asking if he is alive. He confirms he survived. That hit was calculated. He explains his strategy. First, determine the enemy's cooldown. Second, buy time for the ultimate counter. He needs her to copy the monk's ability. Perched safely on a tree, she vows to observe his flow until the technique is hers. But he needs an open battlefield. Suyan retrieves a mystical green bean, a turtle recovery essence crafted from the cave's resources. Qinfang prepared this medicine, but he is down to his last 2 pills. Suddenly, the monk strides into the ruined hall. The villain promises more suffering. He stomps down to crush Suyan's skull, but his foot hits nothing but a pile of rocks. The monk is shocked. A transformation technique. He senses bloodlust from behind and instinctively blocks. Suyan locks onto the monk's arm. He mocks the holy man's foul language and attempts a devastating slam. But the monk's skin gleams. Indestructible golden body. The energy explodes, blowing the roof off the temple. A figure leaps from the smoke. The monk is impressed, attributing Suyan's survival to cheap tricks. But in midair, Suyan is already closing the distance. He unleashes a kick. Again, the golden body activates. But this time, brute force overcomes magic. Suyan slams him into the earth. As the monk rises, Suyan is waiting. The monk binds him in place again. With a voice like crushing gravity, he declares that mere martial talent is useless against true power. Dark Ki gathers in his palms, forming a sphere of pure destruction. He praises the boy's tenacity, but suddenly, a chilling laugh cuts through the tension. The monk sneers at such impudence in the face of death. He unleashes the sphere, the legendary purple void thunder. Boom! The devastating blast hurls our hero through the very heart of the mountain, carving a massive crater in its wake. The monk gazes toward the heavens. He offers a final prayer for his fallen foe. But then, a fallen leaf grazes his shoulder. He spins around, and Suyan is already standing in his blind spot. In his hand swirls the exact same sphere of destructive energy. The monk's eyes bulge. How is he breathing? And how does he wield the void arts? Our hero sidesteps like a phantom and drives the attack directly into the monk's solar plexus. Now this is what I call a high-budget battle sequence. The impact sends the monk crashing through the temple walls, shattering stone and wood alike. His mind reels a mere novice mimicked a technique that took decades to master. Before the dust can settle, Suyan materializes right before his eyes like a reaper coming to collect. Coughing up blood, the monk demands the truth. Before he meets the underworld, he must know the secret behind this monstrous talent. Let's rewind a bit. While dashing across the battlefield earlier, our protagonist cracked open his system inventory to reveal a stack of fresh scrolls. These were the masterpieces of our beloved calligrapher. She had poured her very soul and stamina into finishing them just in time. And what did this greedy rascal do? He stuffed them all into his mouth instantly. Call him shameless, but this sly fox knows exactly how to exploit the system's mechanics. Back in the present, Suyan tells the monk to listen closely for the lecture. But it's a feint. He vanishes into thin air. Before the monk can blink, a fist buries itself in his chest. Shut your trap and die. Even without the thunder art, Suyan vows to beat him into a coma. A barrage of punches rains down like a meteor shower. As the monk writhes in agony, he whimpers a pathetic question. What was my sin? He claims the villagers were drowning in the misery of endless war and famine. He only sought to liberate them from their mortal coil. He insists that sealing them away broke his heart, that he shed tears of blood for the necessary sacrifice. As he spouts this nonsense about the greater good, a dark demonic aura begins to erupt from his broken body. Suyan stiffens. This monster still has strength left. The monk slams his palms together, weaving a forbidden seal. Violet light explodes outward, swallowing the entire temple in a suffocating barrier. Welcome to the Void Prison. Our hero stares up in disbelief. How deep does this guy's arsenal go? A blinding flash consumes his vision. When his sight returns, the enemy is gone. Worse yet, the system is cut off. He's blind, isolated, and completely on his own. Suddenly, the heavens tear open. A bolt of golden judgment crashes down from the apex of the formation, incinerating the structure below. Suyan barely rolls away in time. Activating Steel Body, he ignores the heat and charges straight toward the eye of the storm. The energy sphere splits open like a demonic eye expanding into a blazing sun. It's a fusion of the immobilization and thunder arts. The shockwave blasts him onto the roof like a discarded ragdoll. He tumbles down, battered and bruised, but refusing to stay down. But the nightmare continues. The second he twitches, his body locks up. It's as if the monk's cooldowns have been completely erased. The monk, now fully consumed by his demon form, descends with a hunger for bone-breaking violence. Bam! A heavy blow sends Su-an airborne again. He desperately tries to refresh his defenses in the split second of freedom, but 3 more spheres of annihilation manifest instantly. There isn't even a single heartbeat of respite. Another lightning strike hammers the earth, reducing the temple ruins to dust and ash. In the distance, Yunshu watches the lightning storm in horror. Screaming for her master, she pushes her speed to the absolute limit. Just hold on a little longer. Her heart pounds as she races against time to deliver the solution. Amidst the rubble, the demon stomps on Su-an's chest, grinding him into the dirt. "Where is that arrogance now?" he taunts. So our boy forces out a broken, mocking cackle. That sound makes the monk's blood boil. He raises a fist wreathed in dark energy, swearing to seal this brat in eternal silence. But Su-an grins. Channeling his inner sorcerer, he triggers a formation. He's expanding his own domain times, inside times the enemy's territory. The demon falters, mind shattered by the impossibility. How roaring in fury, he vows to rip out Su-an's spiritual root and devour it. All the scattered energy coalesces into a single, colossal sphere of doom, directly above Su-an's head. Yet our hero just smirks. Is that your grand finale? The massive death ball descends, but he stands unwavering. He activates the Absolute Zero technique. A wave of glacial aura detonates outward, instantly freezing the attack and the demon in solid ice. Frost coats the entire mountain range. The monk's consciousness flickers in panic. How could his own invincible formation be frozen solid? Sensation vanishes. The cold bites deep into his soul until the only thing remaining is the terrified echo of his own mind. Meanwhile, Su-an cups, his hands gathering light into a concentrated point. The pop culture references are getting out of hand today. Trapped in the ice, the demon can only watch. He foolishly hopes for a miracle, but he has no idea what kind of monster stands before him. The answer was absolute destruction. That strike didn't just hit him. It cleaved the very heavens in two. The entire mountain was erased from existence. Survival was impossible. The corrupt monk had been obliterated. A system notification flashed. Our boy ascended to level 4. He inherited the monk's martial arts and awakened a new passive ability. It was a synergy buff. When near his disciples, his power skyrockets. In return, their cultivation base strengthens in his presence. Meanwhile, Qinfang waited anxiously on the bridge. Why was the master taking so long? The moment he appeared, she dashed forward. Her first concern was Yanu's safety. Our protagonist assured her that Yanu was safe at the store, but he sensed something was wrong. Qinfang was trembling. The patriarch had returned to the Ye mansion. Our boy pushed open the main hall doors. Instantly, the air grew heavy. Pure, unadulterated killing intent washed over him. A lethal presence was closing in. Blocking the entrance stood the patriarch himself. Su-an realized this wasn't a greeting. It was a test of his spirit and aura. The elder stepped forward with overwhelming pressure. Is this a hunter tribute? The old monster was gauging his strength. He was impressed. The rumors of a prodigy were true. The boy possessed a latent potential that defied the heavens. Suddenly, the elder burst into laughter. The suffocating bloodlust vanished into thin air. Our boy stood his ground, confused. Why drop the hostility? The patriarch spread his arms wide and beamed. Son, for a moment it slipped my mind. That is right. Our main character is actually this monster's flesh and blood. The old man grinned, praising Su-an's cultivation growth. He was beaming with pride, even offering a fatherly embrace. But Su-an remained cold. This sudden warmth was suspicious. The patriarch took his seat. He had observed his son's rigorous training. He offered rewards, gold rare treasures, or perhaps a beauty. Looking at that smiling face, Su-an felt a chill. This man's wife and daughter had recently perished. Yet here he was grinning at his 20-year-old illegitimate son. This wasn't fatherly love. It was calculation. There was a hidden agenda. But if the old fox was offering gifts, Su-an would make sure to take everything he could. Scene shift. Our hero is now drowning in luxury and surrounded by beauties. The onlookers were stunned. Just what did he ask for? He didn't just ask for a reward. He demanded an entire sect's worth of resources. Qinfang asked about the funds. He smirked. He simply withdrew a small loan from the family patriarch. Meanwhile, the old man was spitting blood in anger. He promised any wish, but this unfilial son had liquidated the entire castle treasury. While the patriarch raged, our protagonist was sleeping like a baby. Well, until a loud shout shattered his dreams. He nearly suffered a chi deviation from shock. Qinfang announced a visitor at the gate. One look at that crimson outfit, and the identity was obvious. It was the most energetic disciple, Ui. She greeted her master with a radiant wave. Su-an analyzed her status. Unlike the beginners, she had already broken through to the skilled realm. He gestured to her new quarters. That room would be her sanctuary. Qinfang noticed a container and asked about it. Yui claimed it was a family heirloom, a divine beast passed down through generations. She invited them to witness the phoenix. Qinfang peered inside with awe. A red eye glared back. She leaped in terror. But it wasn't a monster. It was just a tiny, fluffy bird. Yui insisted it was just young. Once it awakens its flaming feathers, it will rule the skies. Then she noticed Yumu, another woman in the house. She turned to her master, teasing him for being a tyrannical harem king. Suddenly, a shadow passed above. A crow soared overhead. Yui activated a beast-taming technique. Spirit energy engulfed the bird, forcing it down. It obeyed instantly. It was no ordinary bird, but a messenger from the Demon Suppression Division. Yui decided to stay behind, tending to her beasts and bonding with her martial sisters. But there was no rest for our hero. He couldn't even relax. The system issued a quest: clear out the demon cavern. It was time to grind. Furthermore, a hidden treasure inside could trigger an evolution for Yui's creatures. But the battlefield was aquatic. Underwater combat was tricky. Fortunately, he possessed a water-breathing pill. He swallowed the elixir and submerged. Deep in the abyss, he spotted a gate guarded by 2 fishmen. Suddenly, a delicious bait drifted down. One guard laughed. Humans were so primitive with their fishing rods. But the bait radiated spiritual energy. The second guard couldn't resist. He chomped down, claiming it felt special. Instantly, he was yanked toward the surface. His partner panicked, cursing his stupidity. Above the waves, our fisherman protagonist was reeling in the catch. He cast another line. The remaining fishman scoffed. He wasn't foolish enough to fall for the same trap. However, the temptation was absolute. Our boy's fishing skill was maxed out. No aquatic creature could defy his lure. As he infiltrated the cavern's depths, a mysterious presence watched from the shadows. The hunt had begun. Only 1 hour prior, a shadowed figure whispered poison into the patriarch's ear regarding his son's uncanny survival instincts. "Do not fret," the man hissed. He didn't just seek the young master's life. He coveted the boy's very cultivation foundation. Meanwhile, deep beneath the abyss, Suian was eager to temper his martial arts. He sought to unleash the techniques inherited from the monk. Yet not a single demon beast dared show its face. He swam deeper until he brushed against a seabed mountain, and boom. A cataclysmic explosion rocked the ocean floor. A massive dust cloud billowed, and floating within it, a severed arm. Had the young master fallen so easily, it seemed his limb was disconnected, his body drowning in the crushing depths. Suddenly, a demonic crab seized the leg, cackling, too weak, a human snack, but its laughter died in its throat. A trap. The beast's instinct screamed danger. Retreat, it commanded. But the ambush had already been sprung. From the shadows above, Suian descended, unleashing the absolute zero art. As the frost immobilized the swarm, he triggered his core. Orb expansion. A blinding flash of spiritual energy purged the cavern. The darkness was wiped clean in an instant. Experience points flooded his system. But suddenly, a high-pressure hydro cannon shot straight for his heart. He barely evaded the lethal strike. Gazing down, the Lobster King stood defiant amidst the rubble, unscathed by the explosion. Suian smirked. This beast's projectile attacks. They resembled the artillery from his past life. A worthy technique to steal. He cast another frost spell, but the lobster manifested a spiritual barrier and retreated, putting distance between them. A classic kiting strategy. The beast rained water bullets from afar, while Suian countered with violet thunder orbs. Boom, boom. The coral reef collapsed under the bombardment. Suian surged forward, but his instincts screamed warning. He dodged sideways just as the Lobster King ambushed from the shadows. This cunning beast was keeping him just out of range. Suian realized none of his melee arts would reach. He had to close the gap. He kicked off the water, weaving through the bullet hell. He was inches away, but with a flick of its tail, the monster vanished into the deep again. It was too fast. Fine, Suian growled, summoning his spear. He channeled his aura, aiming with the precision of a Spartan warrior. With a thunderous roar, he launched the divine weapon. The lobster sensed the killing intent, but the steel was already there. It twisted away, but the spear grazed its shoulder, drawing blue blood, yet the arrogance of the beast remained unshaken. A mere scratch, it scoffed, mocking the boy's speed. That is until Suian activated the weapon's true ability, extension. The lobster braced for a frontal assault, confident in its defense. But it never expected the attack to warp space. From behind, the spear materialized through the beast's spine. The staff elongated on its own, delivering the fatal blow. Suian stood motionless, a crackling thunderbolt in his palm, watching the creature's life force fade before his eyes. Another explosion rocked the waters as the Lobster King's vision went black. Blood polluted the sea. The enemy was eliminated. But simultaneously, a deep wound ripped open on Suian's own body. Crimson blood drifted into the water. how he had gained the experience. The beast was dead. Why was he taking damage? His vision blurred as he sank to the seabed. A voice echoed through the water. I have been waiting for this precise moment. Suyen turned his head weakly. It was Yi, the patriarch. His own father stood there, eyes burning not with love but with insatiable greed. Finally, the old man sneered. Your divine talent shall be mine. Suyen gasps, confused by the phantom wound. The double kill strike Yi, revealed with a cruel grin. A forbidden curse linking our life forces together. It was a karmic bond. When one suffers a lethal blow, the echo of death strikes the other. A technique of mutual destruction. Yi was impressed. Most would have perished from the link alone. Your body is truly a treasure worth stealing. Pain racked his body, yet Suyen let out a defiant chuckle. Just like the monk. The old man's fury ignited instantly. You dare laugh at death. Yi gathered explosive energy in his palm. Once I extract your roots, you will smile no more. The patriarch's hand surged forward, a strike meant to shatter bone and spirit. Blood splattered across the ocean floor. It is done, Yi roared in triumph. But as the dust settled, he felt cold stone. His fingers were buried in the earth. The boy's body had hardened into a lifeless statue. A decoy. Yi spun around, panic rising in his chest. Too late. Suyan was already behind him, a finger pressed menacingly against the patriarch's forehead. Checkmate. Yi trembled. The boy had mastered not only the sealing arts but the legendary shape-shifting technique as well. Cheap parlor tricks, Suyan whispered coldly. But effective enough to fool a greedy old man like you. Yi's mind raced. He was still the superior cultivator. If he could just break this stance, he could crush the brat. Desperate to buy a second of time, Yi stammered. If I am to die, at least tell me how you broke the curse. You think your words can stop me now? Suyen was already condensing a sphere of pure destruction in his palms. The old man screamed that there was no point in struggling. He accused Suen of violating filial piety, of heartlessly murdering his own father. But Suen's gaze was cold as ice. He was a soul transmigrated from another world, a man who had worked himself into an early grave. He refused to suffer that fate again. With a thunderous boom, the patriarch was vaporized into nothingness. Not only did our boy devour the remnants of the old man's cultivation, but he also seized the Lobster King's secret arts. Back at the sect, the massive crustacean was prepared for a royal banquet. Qinfang asked if this bounty was truly for her. Chen smirked yes, but she would have to share the glory with Yue. Jealousy flashed in Qinfang's eyes. She pouted, complaining that Yue had only just arrived. Why did the newcomer deserve the master's treasures? Just then, the spirited Yue arrived. Chen asked about the little chick's condition, but her face fell in discouragement. Perhaps a taste of high-grade monster meat would trigger a change. As they fed the lobster flesh to the bird, everyone leaned in anticipation, hanging in the air. Yue's unique constitution, the one she awakened as his disciple suddenly activated. It doubled the absorption rate of spiritual ingredients. A blinding pillar of golden light erupted. Had the legendary phoenix finally awakened from its slumber? Not quite. It had evolved into a spirit beast, but it was merely at the first realm. The transformation wasn't complete. Still, Yue beamed with pride, swearing that as promised it was becoming a divine phoenix. But Qinfang scoffed, claiming it looked like nothing more than expensive poultry. Sparks flew between the senior and junior disciples. Yue insisted on its divinity, while Qinfang threatened to confiscate the bird's dinner. While the girls bickered, our boy realized a harsh truth. He was stepping into the fifth realm, and his disciples' basic cultivation was no longer feeding him enough experience points. Grinding daily chores just wouldn't cut it anymore. Suddenly, the system chimed. The mission module was finally online. Now he could issue quests, and their blood, sweat, and tears would fuel his own ascension. An idea struck him, and a devious grin spread across his face. A golden aura flooded their minds as he bestowed a new summoning art upon them. He explained that they could now accept missions based on their classes, and this seal would allow them to summon him in dire straits. Yanhu asked if he would join them on the path. He refused flatly. He was too busy. Let the disciples do the heavy lifting. What a ruthless genius. Later, Chen ascended a winding staircase, acknowledging the intel broker. Without the information from the cavern, the ambush would have been a mystery. It was Wu Chenan, the man who knew everything under the heavens. Wu confessed he had been watching the chessboard closely, predicting every move. Our girl demanded to know why this stranger was helping them. Wu revealed his hand. He possessed weak aptitude and despised hard labor. He had spent his life searching for a tiger to ride. The moment he saw the proud heiress of the Xiao family bow to Chen, he knew that our boy was a stock worth investing in. At least the man was honest about his leeching nature. Cutting back to a few days ago, inside a damp cave, Wenjun stood trembling, clutching his blade. Why was he sent to patrol this mountain alone? Before him stood a level 3 black bear radiating killing intent. The beast roared, smashing the boy into the stone wall like a rag doll. But wait, the bear's movements were unnatural. It was being puppeted by Yue Mission, accomplished master, she chirped from the shadows. Chen praised her efficiency. With this, the enemy's eyes and ears had been permanently silenced. But Yue was curious, why had her master been summoned to the Demon Suppression Division? Back in the present, even the all-knowing Wu was stumped. This summons was an anomaly. The only way to uncover the truth was to speak with the High Command directly. Chen looked up at the daunting path ahead. Is this a joke? How does one climb a flimsy sheet of paper to the heavens? Wu explained that this was the trial itself. Only those with true control could ascend. The weak would fall. Chen didn't hesitate. He engaged his movement arts, his footwork light as a feather shooting toward the peak. By infusing qi, the paper became harder than steel beneath his feet. However, a rune on the path flared gold. The trap activated. A massive spirit hammer swung down to crush him into paste. It was a deadly fusion of mechanics and ancient magic. And before he could react, a storm of flying swords locked onto his coordinates. Chen triggered his immobilization art and reinforced his body with steel skin. The impact shook the heavens. But these weren't normal blades, they were tracking him. Even after the collision, they realigned for the kill. He tried to freeze them in mid-air with his technique, but the spiritual pressure was too immense, it had no effect. An explosion rocked the sky. One of the blades slashed inches from his pupil. Just as death seemed certain, a shadow materialized behind him, instantly neutralizing the lethal strike. It was Wang Saiza scolding him for being far too reckless on the battlefield. I barely had time to retrieve you, the master grumbled. He shattered the defensive formation with a wave, explaining that these seals were mere toys meant for level 5 demons. The protagonist asked if he had disabled the hidden traps ahead, but Wang Saiza simply placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. No need for caution, he declared. Suddenly, he grabbed our hero and launched him. Through the air like a rag doll, the boy crashed onto the island, his face contorted in shock, realizing that an 8th realm cultivator existed in a dimension of power he couldn't comprehend. But suddenly the sky tore open, a black rift screamed into existence, and crimson energy flooded the horizon. A minotaur-like monstrosity emerged, radiating a suffocating killing intent. It was the same oppressive terror he felt when facing Yui. The demonic aura washed over him, feeling like millstones grinding his very bones to dust. The beast lunged to crush him, but Wang Saiza yanked him skyward at the last second, hovering high above. Wang Saiza mused that it was bizarre for a high-level rift to open so near their territory. But our boy snapped, screaming at him to stop analyzing the situation and kill the monster. The beast charged a catastrophic beam. Even though the protagonist knew he was outmatched, he refused to cower. He cycled his cultivation, admitting that right now he was just a praying mantis trying to stop a war chariot. Whatever that proverb meant, Wang Saiza didn't care. He simply reached out and crushed the Minotaur's energy ball in his bare palm. Our boy watched in horror. He canceled the attack, without even using a martial art. The master scoffed, explaining that using a 3rd-level technique here would be like an ant trying to uproot a giant tree. Learn your place, he implied. But the Minotaur wasn't finished. A massive sphere of destruction hurtled toward them, ready to detonate. Wang Saiza casually extended a finger, tracing a golden magic circle that expanded into an impenetrable barrier. The blast struck with world-ending force, threatening to consume them, but this man had absolute dominance. With a lazy flick of his wrist, he swatted the nuclear-level attack away. Our hero watched, jaw dropped as the beam soared across the mountain range. The only victim was a poor little rabbit, who saw his entire forest vaporized in a flash of white light. The landscape was instantly carved into a massive crater. The protagonist trembled, unable to process such godlike strength. A single casual deflection had turned ancient mountains into drifting dust. It was more devastating than a modern nuke. Thinking his tiny sword could stop that was the height of arrogance. Seeing its attack brushed aside, the Minotaur retreated into the void, vanishing instantly. Our boy cheered, relieved that the calamity had passed. But Wang Saiza narrowed his eyes, wondering if the beast was merely sent to test the might of the Demon Suppression Division. Sometime later, within the main sect manor, our hero walked the silent corridors alone. A mysterious summons ordered him to come solo. The hall was empty until a blinding golden radiance erupted in front of him. He froze his instincts, screaming danger. A woman stood there, holding a fan and wearing the crown of a ruler. Would she eventually become a subordinate in his future empire? Her name was Li Wan, the Empress of El Wan. He couldn't even sense what cultivation realm she possessed. But his gamer system flashed a warning. Her name tag was orange. That meant she was a legendary existence to be feared. The scene shifted briefly to explain the terrified atmosphere. He had asked about the legend of the dragon tongue. Yong An explained that supreme beings possessed a bloodline, granting them the commanding voice of the ancient dragons. The boy asked if it was hype, but she clarified that a single word from this bloodline had altered the fate of entire wars. When a dragon speaker commands, all creation must bow. Back in the hall, Li Wan asked why he, a mere mortal, had not yet knelt. Boom, the pressure crashed down like the sky falling. His knees hit the floor instantly, nearly smashing his nose into the tiles. This aura was suffocating far beyond the beast from the rift. This was the weight of an emperor. Li Wan observed him coldly, noting it was impressive he awakened his talents so late in life. He had lived as a mediocrity for decades, only to ascend rapidly in the last year. That anomaly was the only reason she knew his name. Sweating profusely, our boy played the fool, claiming he was just a lucky commoner, unworthy of such praise. She noted his humility and allowed him to rise. Then came the real interrogation. She asked if the rumors were true that Miss Yuki of the Zhao clan had taken him as her master. Even the empress had visited the prestigious Zhao family, and they had arrogance enough to reject every expert in the land. She demanded to know what magic he used to achieve the impossible. Suan looked up and simply stated, "I promised I would help her raise a true phoenix." The empress's eyes lit up with excitement. Now that is interesting. She immediately issued a royal decree. He was to be appointed as the assistant to the wise commanders of the Demon Suppression Division and simultaneously the governor of Ye. He accepted the heavy title with a bow, while she mused that she was eager to see what chaos he would bring to this world. Later in the shadows, a voice asked why Her Majesty favored such a wild card. A massive golden dragon manifested behind her, whispering that the boy was suspected of having slaughtered his brother, mother, and even his own father. The man was undeniably a monster in human skin. Yet the Empress offered a chilling defense. She argued there was no concrete proof, and truth be told, had he not snapped after decades of crushing oppression, he would have met the same tragic fate as her. It appeared her older brother had siphoned away a portion of her cultivation talent, forcing her to tread carefully now that the demons were launching their assault. If those vile creatures discovered that she no longer possessed her peak strength, they would not hesitate to overrun her domain. Meanwhile, before a wall stretching a kilometer high, our hero found the location far more tranquil than the rumors suggested. The city bustled with an opulence that suggested a ridiculously high GDP. His companion leaned in, confused. What in the heavens is a GDP? Traveling with Master Ju was truly a daily lesson in strange vocabulary. Our hero sighed, reminding him not to use such formal titles and to treat him casually. The friend nodded, but then asked about the whereabouts of the disciples they had dispatched earlier. Our heroine explained that every single one of them was currently deep in secluded cultivation. Meanwhile, Ye Qinfang stood before the cavern of the demon boar, extending her hand. She knew this dungeon was sealed by ancient magic, but holding her master's token of authority, she was granted passage. The energy barrier dissolved into light, and the heavy stone doors groaned open. Good heavens! The boar was already breathing down her neck. The beast lunged with snapping jaws, but the girl was a grandmaster of the blade. She slashed, horizontally carving a clean line across its snout. Seeing the horde ahead, she smirked, noting that the kitchen was running low on pork making. This the perfect opportunity to restock the inventory. The battle erupted with such intensity that moments later the pig was trembling in fear and attempting to flee. Suddenly, a massive shockwave blasted the creature away. The dungeon boss Zhuang stepped from the shadows, calling his minions pathetic trash for losing to a mere slip of a girl. Ye Qinfang approached him slowly, her aura calm. The demon growled that using his subordinates as soup ingredients was an unforgivable insult. Ye Qinfang laughed coldly, replying that even the boss knew exactly what these filth were good for. The Boar King roared, vowing to rip open her stomach, tear out her beating heart, and serve it as a cold appetizer. He launched himself at her with earth-shattering speed, but she weaved aside, slicing his leg in passing. Her blade work was surgical, severing his tendon instantly, yet he remained standing. He swung again, shattering the bedrock beneath them. Despite already taking a deep cut to the shoulder, he scoffed, calling her a buzzing fly that refused to land. He arrogantly claimed that these paper cuts were mere tickles that would not change the outcome. Indeed, it seemed her attacks lacked the weight to stop him, as he continued his relentless assault while she was forced entirely on the defensive. Having to evade midair, she landed awkwardly on her heels, throwing her balance off. The boss saw the fatal opening. He swung his massive mace to crush her skull into paste. The attack appeared to be a direct hit, tearing the earth asunder with a deafening boom. Her feet were visible amidst the dust, and the boss mocked her, shouting that in the end, she was destined to become nothing more than dinner. But his triumph turned to shock as he felt his weapon rising against his will. His mace was ripped from his grip. The Boar King couldn't comprehend how she possessed such monstrous physical strength. Ye Qinfang rose from the debris, tossed his heavy weapon aside like a toy, and dashed forward. He sneered, noting she had switched to a paring knife, and declared that with his down, secondary club he would crush her flat. He wound up for a devastating strike, and she appeared to merely dodge again. The boss told her to quit, playing games and prepared to finish it, but as his club descended, his arm suddenly unraveled into perfect sashimi slices, a geyser of blood, painted the cavern floor red. The boar screamed, demanding to know how she could suddenly shear through his iron-like flesh. That was when he realized she was dual-wielding. She calmly explained that being born into poverty, she never received a formal education. Instead, she labored alongside her father in the butcher shop from dawn until dusk. The boar looked at her utterly baffled by this backstory. She continued admitting that even though Master Yan wrote martial manuals for her, they were gibberish to her eyes. She wasn't a genius like her master who could devour knowledge. The boar was losing his mind, wondering what any of this had to do with their fight. Then, she delivered the punchline after years of working in that shop. She had attained the pinnacle of dissecting pigs. The monster, enraged and confused, ripped off his armor and smashed it into the earth, telling her to shut her mouth. His body began to contort and expand, shifting into his primal form. Now a colossal wild boar, he charged like a runaway train. She dodged and he pulverized the entire cave wall. She managed to land a scratch, but his hide had become tougher than steel. The real problem, however, was that the ceiling was beginning to cave in. She realized that a prolonged battle meant they would both be buried in a tomb of stone. Meanwhile, the boss refused to let up, but in the midst of her retreat, her eyes flashed. She activated her divine vision, allowing her to clearly see every meridian, joint, and muscle fiber in his body. She rushed him, activating the art of the butcher, and unleashed a hurricane of strikes upon the beast. The boar was engulfed in a storm of blue blade light, and in less than a heartbeat he was reduced to a billion bite-sized cubes. Only his pristine skeleton remained standing. Good heavens, not even the main character could execute a fatality with such artistic brutality. With the demon boar filleted, she successfully advanced to the rank of Imperial Chef, exiting the cave with a ton of fresh meat. The rewards from the battle were magnificent. System notifications flooded his vision, overflowing with rare items. Our protagonist's experience bar climbed higher and higher. Meanwhile, deep within the fortress, a man named Sun Chan sat upon his throne. He demanded to know why Suan had come to this desolate frontier. Our hero stood tall, declaring he bore the Emperor's mandate. His mission was clear: inspect the region's progress and reclaim the lands lost to darkness. But Sun Chan scoffed at the ambition. Recovering territory here was impossible. The city of Yu bordered a cursed forest and an endless wasteland teeming with demons. It was a place where souls vanished without a trace. When Suan questioned his fear, the local leader explained the grim reality. The only way to prove the land was safe was to cross the forest, but a terrifying beast stood in the way. They would have to slay the demon boar, the ancient guardian of the mountain. A feat he deemed suicide and not worth the risk. He taunted the boy to try it himself if he had a death wish. But a confident smirk played on Suan's lips as he prepared his rebuttal. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed behind the governor. Sun Chan turned and his eyes nearly popped out of his skull. It was Qinfang casually dragging the massive carcass of the demon boar. Staring at the giant tusk, Sun Chan stammered in disbelief. He asked where on earth she found such